Yes. I have a very interesting idea, but I don't really know exactly how to describe it. I think what Asako Hiroshi would be attempting to accomplish with this particular painting is to try and depict as best he can with what what the sort of things that are visible to the human eye of what the void looks like to him. I keep I keep meaning to actually play that game. Everyone keeps telling me that it's a brilliant, brilliant game, but I haven't played any of the Persona series ever. I shall keep that in mind.
No, we
We
heard you.
didn't actually hear you.
I'll step forward and add like whatever my battle 10 information was. And I'll say it in a very like authoritative, knowing way. Though not necessarily helpful since I only got a 10. Okay.
I'll go first if no one else would like to.
Sure, go ahead. I wanted to take a look at the urn, though. Wait, are we in the gallery? Okay, so yeah, I'll like duck out the back. I kind of want to check out the urn. Yeah, it's just very insulting. I know it's just gonna be like lackluster, and no, I'm just kidding. I'll like subtly sort of duck out, just check out the urn to see if his story kind of checks out. Does it really look that old? Stuff like that, and then I'm gonna pop back in.
Basically, did he get grifted?
Yeah, basically. Or is he just telling us a tale? Although that would be like I could make a roll just to see if I think he's lying, right? Is that court ear?
I think that would be investigation.
Investigate. Oh yeah, I get those two kind of mixed up.
Not the best investigator, are you?
Chichenko will step up and get into everybody's sight and then say, "It is unfortunate that I do not have as great of a story as our gracious host, but I do happen to have one. You see, for many a year, I had what some would call a writing friend within the Crab clans, and they regaled me with a story that truly emphasizes why we need them and what duty they hold for the Empire. Rare indeed is the year that the Emperor holds his court under the mighty skull that guards Kyud and Hida. It was only by the whim of our great Emperor that the great daimyos were brought to the charred edge of the Shadowlands, to silence their squabbles of lands, and to know that they were all equal in the eyes of the Emperor, and indeed within the eyes of the Shadowlands. There were 3 daimyo that happened to be there, one of the dragon, one of the scorpion, and one of the crane. And one day, when they were particularly bored of after a particularly uneventful day, they happened to see a lone crab, Bushi, standing atop the wall. And as each daimyo went to the window one by one to peek at the lone figure encased in black steel, they happened to have a thought. This does not seem to be so difficult a task. The Bayushi daimyo opened, gesturing outside with a delicate hand, softer and perhaps colder than the snow. The wind is silent, the wall is high. This Bushi who claims such vigilance could well be a dragon, a crane, or a scorpion. I would not begrudge the crab their duty, added the Kakita daimyo, but my own soldiers have guarded walls in winter frost, similarly unflinching. Forgive me if I speak of fighting styles, the dragon daimyo said, but the Kikita and the Miramoto have ever argued over the most skilled Yojimbo. If it is the value of a guard we debate, then I cannot fail to mention my own. Why, let us have a contest, the Bayushi daimyo concluded with a smile. A contest of Yojimbo, and we shall see how well the crab guard Rokugan. The daimyo each summoned 3 Yojimbo, and all of them were soon outside with ice crunching beneath their feet as they went to talk with the lone Bushi. Rest inside by the fire a while, the Bayushi suggested, for you have been out here many hours in the cold, and there are no Oni about. The crab made no motion to bow or even to look at her, such uncultured swine. I will be in the cold for many hours more. The snow falls thick and fast tonight, and the Shadowlands will surely attack under its cover. I must refuse, for you are not my lord. A few glances passed amongst the daimyo, a tad shocked at his brazenness. Crab-san, the crane tried. How can you fight when you are frozen to the spot, weary for lack of sleep? Here are 9 fresh men to relieve you, and each of them have fought the Shadowlands before in our own lands. And at this the daimyo smiled to one another, for he had slighted the guard in the process of revealing a truth. I will guard your lives better than any of your finest Yojimbo, the crab growled back. I must refuse, for you know nothing of my post. The dragon daimyo held up a hand. Then let us test it. Let us sleep in this place tonight, and each leave our 3 bushi at the walls to aid you. If the Shadowlands attacks, we shall see who slays it first. He began pacing, turning to the assembled Yojimbo. To the samurai who strikes the mightiest blow, before the court I will bestow a suit of armor laced with jade and gold. And there were many looks among his Morimoto retainers, for surely this was a great prize. For my part, I will give a wakizashi, the Kakita said as he drew his own, for in the house of the crab, one keeps their weapons on them at all times. This one was forged by the artisans of the Kakita. You will not find a finer blade in anywhere in the empire. And at this, the Kakita retainers nodded, so hard-pressed were they not to show their anticipation. The lovely Bayushi daimyo paused. I can think of little I would offer to equal such gifts, but perhaps a gentle hand upon their cheek as I fit them with their new gear of war. And here all of the Ojimbos kept respectfully silent, though their hearts jumped at the most lovely prize of all. The crab only scowled. Your bushi will be too slow, he said, and they will die. None of you know how fast the Shadowlands strike. The Kakita and the Bayushi destroyed his insult with laughter. At dawn, the Bayushi snorted, if you live, I shall speak with your daimyo, and you shall duel all of our bushi in turn. She turned to command her Yojimbo. Dip your swords in jade powder and keep them unsheathed on your shoulders. Guard the western wall, for the Shadowlands may flank us. The crane admonished his men. Dip your swords in jade powder, he said thoughtfully. But dip your spears too, for the Shadowland bloods tarnish his blades. Guard the eastern wall, for they may indeed try to flank us. Dip your arrowheads in jade powder, the dragon daimyo ordered, and shoot anything that you see, for they fight harder than any man. Guard the northern wall, and look to the roof, for the Shadowlands will no doubt appear the last place that it is expected. And with that, they went inside and warmed themselves before retiring for the night. And at this point, Shujinko's voice lowers a bit, much quieter, and then says, a hellish scream from the south wall gouged the night, shaking them awake. They grabbed for their weapons, only to find the dragon one step ahead of them. The oaken door flew into kindling, and one of the spawn of the Shadowlands floated before us, as if it was made of the freezing wind itself. I thought for certain that it must have been the ghost of a god, for it was the most beautiful man that they had ever seen. The fire in its eyes lit the room, turning the stone green and the blood on its katanas black. Its skin was the white of Lord Moon, and it slid through the air on slim ankles, stepping on the gusts that flew towards the Lady Bayushi. The dragon struck without thought at its blades, almost in time. The steel deflected into the wall and into the Bayushi's thigh. She lacked the presence of mind to cry out before the dragon brought their katana and wakizashi together to the creature's elbow. The blade stuck and the room was paralyzed. We realized all as one that all of the jade powder was outside. The dragon fell back in a storm of swords that fanned and whistled and clashed with painful sparks. And just as the door behind me became splinters and I fell to the ground, the hand split down the middle and broke at the forearm. But a burly wall of hellish metal lunged directly into the fray and knocked the demon down with a sound like a smashed palanquin. The daimyo of the crab, a mighty Hida, had come at the scream, and he swung a blood-stained iron tetsubo welded with jade and crystal points, and his ferocity was made plain as he crushed it again and again and again and again. And it was only after 20 of the mightiest blows, each one that would fell 100 men, did the creature finally silence. And as they stood, all of them within the terrible echoes of the blows, looking at the silk-like ghost that had been beaten into nothing, they sighed in relief. Those were indeed terrible creatures, the scorpion daimyo admitted as the Shugenja of the crab came to finish everything off. The smell of her blood was in the air, as it flowed freely from her thigh from the previous wound. They are, admitted the dragon, and I would say that the crab have their warriors as well. What of the contest? The Kakita said, composed with the shock that lets a man feel no pain. And of Arbushi? And at this, the Hideo daimyo only gave a single word. What? And quickly, the other daimyo told him, and he shook their heads. You should have known better. This is no place for games. The scorpion daimyo burned like the sun. I am not ungrateful, Hida, said the Bayushi dangerously, but in this test, you saved my life, not your arrogant man. Let us see where the fool is now. And they walked into the pre-dawn cold that turned our breath into crystal wind. And by the north wall, the scorpion bushi were dead, torn apart and covered in black ink. Of course, they were taken care of, and they were said their funeral rites. And by the east wall, the dragon bushi were also dead. They had been cut down from behind and slashes deep enough to break their spines. They too were given their last rites. And on the west wall, the sword of the cranes were speckled with frost, and their faces were withered with unnatural age. There was much despair and decay within them, and it was all I could do to look upon them before their rites. And by the south wall lay one final armored corpse, completely broken, completely destroyed. And it was then that the dragon wrapped a blanket about his kimono and then shook his head before bowing deeply. I believe I understand the lesson, Hida-sama. As do I, the crane daimyo said. We are all equals before the Shadowlands. I have no sympathy, the Bayushi spat. There is no winner to this contest. I will never say that man was equal to my Yojimbo, for he fought no harder and no better. In truth, I see no sign that he fought at all. And then the Hida daimyo tunneled through her with a stare. Scorpion, he said gravely. That man's job was to scream. Certainly. I'll go ahead and spin my...
Could it also be performance? Or perform? Yeah.
I'll go forward.
I have perform oratory, so I was just... This is probably the only chance I'll use it, so...
I'm going to go ahead and re-roll that one real quick.
That's a little better.
Significantly. And with that, Shujinko will bow towards them and then head towards the room with all the candles through the wall, or through the hall.
I unfortunately is for about 10 minutes. I'm sorry. What was that? I unfortunately need to disappear for about 10 minutes. I'm sorry. Okay. Looks like sign.
Actually, specifically while he was making his venture down the long hallway and then through the long maze, he thinks about the true enemies of the Empire. He thinks about the real threats that there are, and he thinks about how most people refuse to even acknowledge them. He thinks about everything that could have been done and everything that hasn't been done. And while the shadows have certainly given him a rise to his nerves, it is no different than the feeling that he gets every day when he wakes up. And as he stands before the candles, burning and flickering before him, rather than blowing it with his mouth or blowing the candles out with his mouth or using magic, he simply licks his pointer finger and his thumb and crushes it between his fingers before then heading back.
Sure thing.
All I'm saying is that perception is very useful. You should strongly consider it.
Well, I've been, being a bushy, I've been putting more of my stuff into physical for the time being, but I'm going to start bringing up, perception and awareness soon. Yes. Who might your master be? Asako Jirobo? Asako More? Out of character, I remember getting into a duel. I agreed to have a meeting with this. Oh! Okay. Yes. Yeah, I totally forgot that. Yeah. Of course I remember. Uh, I feel very guilty about missing Shujenka's story, but I shall follow. Certainly can. And I do have theology. Hmm. I shrug. I was not careful, but to my knowledge, I was not followed. Issawa kind of snickers at that. I'll sit down. So, okay, out of character, I'm just trying to recall. I was just told to meet this person, right? Oh. Oh, okay. Yes, I would like some information. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I am a magistrate of Office 34. And I'll like slowly kind of reach into my kimono and produce the papers identifying me as such. I am aware that you, along with some of your companions, were in an area known as Gaijin Pass. You are one of the few to have made it out of that area. What can you tell me about what happened on those fateful days?
Sorry about that.
Who were the magistrates that responded? The magistrates that you encountered when you returned to Gaijin Pass. They were clan magistrates.
What have I missed?
The shapeshifters. To a limited nature, I have encountered. What did you recognize any of the other magistrates? But their paperwork checked out? Oh. Well, according to the only witness we could find, who was a peasant boy, your companions were killed by a kind of spirit, a glowing whirlpool of light was the way it was described to me. I suppose so. I am unsure, but I have. Out of character, I've never actually physically encountered them. It's mostly just through. I've heard of them through Asako's like visions and stuff, right?
Technically, you have encountered them. You just don't.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so in character again. Well, it is complicated. Yes. Mm. So the reason it doesn't say intelligence is for my spirit, I get the +1 bonus to intelligence, and there isn't really a good way to do that. But Okay. There.
Yes. Does that include myself?
Hey, 777.
Does that include myself? Okay.
Yeah, that's scandalous.
Human contact. Oh God.
My God, blatantness of it all. In a full room, touching each other's hands. Ugh.
I think what Hiroshi would end up doing, and I am not very good at coming up with a story on the spot, and Sakura Hiroshi probably is neither. Um, I think influenced by the things that has happened in his investigations, he'd tell a story of a man gradually fading from existence until he is there, but no one can see him. He's not dead, he's just gone. And it would be regaling them with the tale of after he's disappeared. Not only is he gone, he starts to not only not be seen and get used to the fact that he's not being seen, but it becomes clear that he himself is also being forgotten. It is as if he no longer has come to exist. There would be a story somewhat along those lines. I haven't really got an idea of how that would be structured.
It's just like that episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I never actually watched that.
There's yeah, someone watches Buffy.
You want me to make any sort of roll for quality or whatever? I will not pretend that I'm trained. We will see just how bad he is at this. Is that an artisan? I can't remember. Or is that
Could be performance oratory. Or perform oratory.
So he did a solidly average job, probably. Asako is not a storyteller. There's nothing exciting happening.
He doesn't use his words to paint pictures. He uses paint to paint pictures.
Yeah, clearly.
It would be the scariest thing to all these Rokugani.
Technically speaking, he has not compromised his case because it's not actually based anything on fact. It's just it's kind of influenced by fact. And I think from that point on, knowing that he has no actual direct obligations, Asako would quietly close his eyes and watch to the void and see if there's any actual spirits showing up. So he's just going to keep maintaining this. Okay. Do, 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 do. Someone's broken the rules. I probably will just ignore it, even though I probably shouldn't. I'm a Shugenja. If I'm breaking a ritual, that would be a bad thing to do, especially a spiritual ritual that actually is actual magic.
So after the am I still in the same scene? So I want to ask the woman, the teenage peasant. I'll say, so you recall seeing other children there in your memories? Was there, and then I'll describe Raiwa, who is my sister, of course. So essentially, I want to ask if she recalls seeing my sister. Hmm. I see. These faceless men in the black robes, how long have you been following them? What do you know of them? Hmm. I have experienced that. Why would those within the Phoeni-X be working with them? There was another magistrate whom you worked with. His name was Shiba Kiba. What can you tell me of him? What do you mean the whole time? You mean from his initial appointment to Office 34? You did not know him before his position in Office 34? Out of character, do I know the Sapphire Legion? The Phoeni-X? Oh, okay. Do you know the agenda of these people who have no faces? This essence, it goes by the term geisha powder, correct? We have seen that as well. This Blue Lotus, they operate out of, and I'll tell them the location of where they are. The clan, I am told, is planning an assault on their base of operations. Do you think this wise? I am told so. Could I make a some kind of sincerity roll or something? See if this person seems trustworthy in character.
I believe that would be investigate.
That probably would have been a good candidate for a void point, that roll, but whatever. Sure, I am willing to try. Yes.
Ooh. My apologies.
Oh.
So I assume this is where we're going to go to talk about the Collat. So I actually have a. Yeah, okay, I think I asked that. And I have a memory of 4. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Hmm. Okay. What? Okay.
I will mention that Shijenko stepped away for just a quick second while you were gone. So Hiroshi moves as quickly as he can while maintaining his concentration in case before he actually reaches the point he detects anything. Because if you recall, I mentioned he started concentrating. He'd continue to rush forward to see what he can find. That's the sun.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
How to deal with it? I would try to find. Okay. I think I know what I'm going to do. No, that's silly. That's taking things a bit too silly.
Void strike everybody.
No. I will by the light of the moon, however. Let's see if there's. Oh, I made it. So. Look here. 20-foot radius. Okay. Well then. Asako's pretty sure he knows what's going on now.
Have to freeze it.
Hello? Oh.
Oh, hello. Are you back?
Oh, yeah. I had never left. I was.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm back. If you're talking to me.
yeah, I was talking to you. I think I'd stride right over to where the boxes are and pull them out. But discreetly. And then kind of signal to Shigenko. I do believe this may be an attempt to elope.
If it is an attempt to elope, then we must stop it, of course. But why here? Why not somewhere where they have no chance of being discovered?
I believe their hope may have been to disappear and have it blamed on supernatural circumstances.
So it would seem. I suppose we must put an end to this, and of course, inform everyone of what is happening. We will have to speak to Asako-san before anything else.
I believe it would be prudent to speak to Asako-san himself and no one else to avoid him the shame of such a public disgrace.
That's what I'm.
It's really a story of like the Montagues and the Montagues.
I have a
I-
delicate matter to discuss with you. It is not as it seems to my sight. Tell me, there are hushed rumors regarding your son and his cousin. I do not intend to shame you by bringing this up, but it is important to what I am going to say after this. Tell me, how to what degree were such feelings reciprocated? Such matters are quite important in the office of a magistrate. With that, I drag the two kimono boxes out in front of him. These were hastily hidden in the bushes. I I think you may understand well the implication of what I believe has happened here. It could very well be, if it is as valuable as you claim it to be. With that, Hiroshi would start chanting in actual kami language for once. And he's going to commune with the water kami outside the garden and ask them to show him the events immediately prior to their disappearance. Oh my, that's not right. That's not right at all. Why did it roll 1, keep 0?
Do you happen to have a water ring of 0?
I don't believe I do. So, oh, that might be why. Okay. I forgot that I did that with the 4 spells where I got it set to no element to begin with. There we go. So the first question is obviously show me exactly what they did after they left. For some reason, none of that sunk in. So they're with the servants now? Yeah. Come with me, my lord. And I just barge right into the servants' quarters, like a samurai who doesn't care what the peasants think.
I'm following along, of course.
Please line up for an inspection. Show me your hands. And I kind of smirk slightly at this Lord's son servant. Why, you don't seem to be very hard worked at all. And you, young lady, What is it you do among the servants?
Well, certainly, if you wash dishes, you will be able to describe to us how you do such a thing. I must say, you have not learned how to speak quickly. Any real peasant, or any true worthy peasant, would know that they are not to hesitate whenever their betters speak to them. It is unfortunate you did not plan this better for the sake of your love.
Yeah, I was about to say, where's Usama in all this? I think I know exactly where Hiroshi's going to go. He's going to go check out that door that was open earlier. Um, I do believe we may have solved that particular mystery. Would you? Were these? And I described basically the clothing they were wearing. Yes, yes, we were made aware. The young lord is safe. Tell me, have you seen this outside at all? Oh, yes. Ah, thank you very much. And I'd continue on to the room, and then politely sit outside with the shadow there. And I can't remember what the proper thing to do to signal that one is there when they're outside the door and basically request entry. I basically do that. Yes, cough. And avoid point this since it seems like it's probably a little more important. And is this clearly an internal room?
This room is.
Okay.
There's a breeze coming out from under. On that breeze area.
No pretext anymore. Ram the door open.
So you enter the room.
Shochu is the strong stuff, and sake is
Buki is also quite delightful. It's plum wine.
Yes, I remember plum wine being important.
Hmm.
I'm going to use investigate to case the scene, essentially. See if there are any footprints within the area or any dust of any sort. Just see if there's any real clue as to what happened here, essentially. What would the TN for this investigation check be? I'm going to go ahead and 2 void point to this, and then 2 raises for additional information. I investigate real good. No, I actually rolled a 40. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I see what you're saying.
I'm going to commune with the water kami again, specifically the ones in the shochu, because that's there. Oh, goody. Yep. I will void point. Oh, wait, I was supposed to roll 2 less dice, wasn't I? So let me just adjust that. Should be 2 keep 2, so -1 keep 1, actually, since I'm void pointing it. So this should be a proper cast with the right. Okay. So you.
Yep, tracks. Anything that looks like it can indicate what happened here, and if Isawa-sai was here, where he went, just anything like that. Basically, just imagine detective mode from Batman. I want the information that that would give me.
Instantly.
Yeah, instantly, many things make absolutely no sense about what appears to have happened versus what must have happened. For one, I will have relayed this story to Asako Hiroshi and then say, of course, Isawa-sai has not a single angry bone within his body. He would do none of those things, nor would he defenestrate himself. He would simply walk out of the door like a respected samurai. This is a ronin and a peasant. There would be no need for him to hide the fact that he slew them. He is of higher status than either of them, so clearly they must have done something wrong. Moreover, he points to the slashes on the girl's throat. I doubt this was caused by a katana. That is,
I also have a very strange question, Chris. Have I perhaps seen these two individuals before in certain void situations? I know these. I know this face.
oh,
You recall that I suddenly had knowledge of what to do with that child.
he nods.
I have seen this man before. He is who taught me it.
His passing is unfortunate then.
Yet I've never met the man before. In fact, do I recognize the girl as well as being the one who was actually being. In fact, I believe I've seen this girl in my visions as well as being under a similar sort of block to this child, right? To the child. Do I recognize? Ooh. Another important question, actually. This room looked the same. I even recognize this room.
No fly.
This was hastily done. True amateurs at work.
Could be
Us.
that it could be that as a result of screaming, the perpetrator was forced to run.
So it would seem. Which also means they had no chance to cover their tracks. And I happen to be a very excellent tracker.
In the meantime, this is when I would do my casting that apparently succeeded with a 28 on my one die. The show true spirit. I would ask whether it was present when the life's water came out of these people. And I'd want to see exactly what happened. Go home, show true spirit. You're dropped. It is.
Well, technically, two questions.
Technically.
Were you here when this happened? Hey, what happened?
How many questions do you normally get for normal command? I can only remember the other command.
Just two, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh well. I would rush after Shigenko and inform him that Isawa Sai has been kidnapped.
And with my amazing 38 hunting roll, would I be able to get some tracks as to where he would be kidnapped to?
Yeah, that was the next skill I was going to raise. And I'm all out of void points at this point.
Or everything is the best advantage.
I am at least trained in it. But I'm also not very intelligent. Oh, isn't that Benton's romantic love, if I'm remembering right?
I
You'd be
believe
correct.
so.
I wonder what a monk of romantic love is doing in a place in which two cousins wish to marry.
I mean, it's romantic love because it's an eloping thing, but, it's just not acceptable.
They just really love their cousin, man. I guess that's what's up.
What is this, the South?
I don't know. I didn't realize that Missouri was in Phoenix lands.
I thought that was more a Mississippi thing.
Could also be Florida, too.
Yeah, but basically anything can be Florida.
True that.
There's a reason why the name is Florida Man and not insert any other state here, man.
Actually, I figured out exactly why the Florida man thing is so prevalent in the headlines. It actually has to do with the laws of the media down there. You're actually allowed to.
Suddenly everyone went quiet.
Yeah, what was that? You're allowed to.
Oh, yeah. In Florida, you're allowed to actually name a person before they're actually indicted of a crime, so long as you say, "Hey," or no, hold on, that was wrong. Hold on, real quick. My wife just read it to me. Let me refresh my memory before I make the wrong noises. Okay, it's because the media have unrestricted access to police reports. So that's why you see all the crazy stuff. They're allowed to publish it as well. So since they have unrestricted access, they can find crazy stuff and be like, "Hey guys, look at this Florida guy doing this here. Whoa, what a crazy thing, right?"
I think I saw Peak Florida the other day in that there was a Florida woman arrested for possession of crystal meth named Crystal Methvin.
How sweet. She just really loves her name, man. That's okay. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer, but I need to get going sometime soon. It is nearly midnight here.
Yeah, I do as well.
I figure this is a fairly good cliffhangery place to end the session as well. We're hot on the scent. Sai has been kidnapped and happened to learn some interesting knowledge that we have no memory of. And Hiroshi has used a lot of his spells.
Actually, I've only used three so far. And two of them are my water slots, unfortunately. So if we need healing, I can't do any more of that.
I have a keep 3 for water, so I'm the better healer anyway. You saw my massive roll last time.
And I did burn one of my fire slots to cast a void spell, since that's a thing I can do.
Is most healing water?
Yeah.
All
there
healing is water, with the exception of one void spell.
Yeah, there is a void spell I can take. Perfect. They were just saying that they really need to soon. Hmm. That's a good question.
I'm gonna have to think on that actually, because there's a lot of places he could have gone.
I'm so screwed.
The only good idea I really have is trying to find these Ben 10 monks.
Me too. I actually really liked the introduction to the shogi board. I also liked the reveal that everyone now knows who I am. But yeah, this is actually a very fun session. Pawns are sacrificed in every game of chess. The real question is Shujinko who he thinks he is, or is he also a pawn?
I don't think so.
Hey, we could have an Asako Henshin finally, which would make our spell rolls just horrible for whoever's at the other end of them.
I have a quick question. Actually, wait, no, that's a terrible idea. If I do that, I won't level up next session. After this session. So, as much as I'd like to do that. The only question I had was whether it's likely to be 2 again for the summary. For the session summary. Yes. Okay, I could not quite make. Here is the thing that you might not like the idea of me delaying it for. The potential delay is if I got 2 more experience, I would be able to raise my spellcraft to 5, which means once I do hit Insight rank 2, I'm also getting +1 keep 0 on my spellcasting rolls. Yeah, so it's kind of which form of horrible is worse for you. Because there is no, you're basically doomed. I know what I'll do. 4 or 5. Let's deduct 6 experience. Wait, I need more than 6, don't I? Oh, I can't quite do that. Wait. Five experience to improve my court manners now that I've had to deal with a court situation. And guess what? That brings me to insight rank 2.
Nice.
Yeah, I am now a canon.
All right. I'm tired. See you guys.
Sleep
Thanks
well.
for the session. So I feel like I was a little out of it today. I was just, I don't know, kind of tired. So today was like one of the first days where it's actually been really humid and hot here. So I've been like, I don't know. So,
It
all right.
was cold and rainy here today. When earlier in the week it was like 30 and I did not like it.
Wow.
Yeah, you live in Texas. You've got completely unreasonable expectations of what counts as hot.
That's probably 30 degrees Celsius, right?
Yeah.
Which is like what, 80 something?
I don't know your antiquated units. I mean, our winter.
Yeah.
It gets to it usually for at least 1 week every winter goes below -40, and that one I can say more easily. -40 is -40. So
Right.
Well.
We get that here in Maine too. Usually for like a week or two. At night it'll get like that low.
I would have expected it not get that. Are you fairly inland? Because I know that the Maritimes of Canada are usually quite warm.
Yeah,
South.
I'm inland. I'm like I grew up on the border. You know how like New Brunswick has that little sliver?
Yeah.
And if you just pass it, you're in Quebec.
Yep.
So I grew up like right near there.
Okay.
And so it's pretty far inland. Like it's probably like 3 hours, 4 hours to the coast.
I can see it getting that cold there.
Yeah.
You're not near that nice warm Gulf Stream.
Right. Yeah, the coast there's like it's a different climate in like southern Maine.
And isn't there basically like mountains somewhere? But they're deep mountains.
Technically Maine only has one mountain.
Okay.
But there's sort of like a lot of like hills and almost like like a lot of hills and like one mountain. Like the Appalachian Trail ends in Maine, so it's sort of like the foothills of the Appalachian Trail, or begins in Maine, depending on where you start, I suppose. But most people start in the south just because you could start in like March or something. And
anyway,
then
I believe I'm keeping you from bed.
yeah. All right, see you guys.
Sleep well.
Yep, you too.